Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining. For those of you who are returning, thanks again for coming back. Your support's really appreciated, as always. Let's dive in. So basically, we've got the DAX today. As always, we've got the order flow over on the Tradovate charts. I did just have to go and reactivate the order flow. So there's nothing wrong with my subscription, but basically these were blanked out a moment ago. I just had to jump in to the settings up the top here and go to add-ons and add on the free activation of the order flow. For some reason that's been reset, but yeah, I thought I had to maybe go buy another Eurex pack or something like that, but it just turns out I needed to click the free activate button, so that was quite easy. If you see that, just go and check the add-ons just to make sure it's not that. One thing I'm going to do, it's a bit annoying, I guess Tradovate doesn't remember your last session, so I've always got to try and move this depth of market across. I don't really need to see massive columns. There's no point in that, particularly when I'm not trading on the Tradovate platform just at the moment. Also, we've got the pivots laid out. We're kind of up near the R2 almost, so if we get a little higher, we'll be up near the R2, which would be great, because if we can get a nice rejection off that, we may be looking to get to the extreme gap, which is the previous day's high. Hi Chris, thanks for coming back. Great to see you again. So the previous day's high, which is this red line here, I should elaborate, is the extreme gap. Now, these don't happen all the time, but when they do form quite a decent target. Sometimes what will happen is the market will simply plummet directly to that previous day's high. However, what I prefer to happen is the market will push up, a bit of extra volatility with the open, and I guess the fund managers and investors are buying the market. You know, they're putting their orders in at the open of the day. They get in, it'll push the market up. We get a nice rejection, hopefully off the R2, maybe a little higher. And then we start to see the market reject and head towards that actual target. We could also see the close gap because they're very close. There's no reason why it shouldn't just push down to hit that close gap as well, or the previous day's close. So these 2 points where my cursor is, hopefully you can see that all right on the screen, but basically these two levels are quite good targets. For those of you who are more of a buy only and you want to align more to that DAX bias, that basically it's quite often very bullish. So the DAX by its very nature goes up quite, I guess, slowly to some extent, and then has drastic pushes down. So when it has a big, nice push down like we had yesterday, I'll just go and show what happened there. So yesterday I was referring to, I guess, a bit of a punt because of the large stop size you'd probably have to keep a level of safety. It was a bit of a punt, but a potential opportunity off the pivot. I said people could probably put their stops just above this pivot, but it's likely that it might get taken out. This market rejected perfectly off that pivot after about sort of 15 minutes of hovering around that level, and went all the way down, so 165 points down to the breakout short. I started to buy, I think, in this area here. So I bought a couple of contracts and I just held it for the day, because my ultimate goal, well, not ultimate, but a big goal of mine is to essentially just buy up contracts throughout a period of, say, a quarter to 6 months, and buy leverage contracts in the DAX and just bring stops to break even, let it run. So at these levels though, we're super high. It's not something that I want to do from these levels, but if we do head lower at some point in the future and there's a bit of cash sitting there, I would ideally like to do something like that. So I got long yesterday. I got out this morning and it was quite a good, I'll just remove that. So from about here, I think it was, I got out about here, 140 points I took. So not too bad, not too shabby. So we've got 2.5 minutes until the session opens. Look, ultimately what I'm looking for is a big impulsive move up into either the R2, perhaps even the R3, and that's why we've got to watch the open. Are we going to get enough impulsive movement to take us into these levels, see it in the order flow that we're going to respect that level with bigger orders, such as this green line down here? It's only 6 contracts, but that's the kind of, I guess, visual that you'll be looking for, is a big bar, bigger than all the others, and it kind of indicates something's happening here. And if it coincides with the levels, such as your pivots, then sometimes that's an indication that something's happening. So whether it's continuation or a rejection, you've got to build the picture, build the evidence. So yeah, long story short, looking for a good push up if we can get it. Otherwise, what we'll see is probably a nice breakdown. We might have to get through this R1. We might see a bit of a rejection off this level, so we might kind of come down, tap it, come back up a little bit. But ultimately, if we can get below that R1, I think we'll probably come down to the high, the close, and we might even see the pivot. So if there's a good short, it's got to be quite impulsive. If it's drifting, I kind of feel like the market is just accumulating and it's building up a long position, and it's very hard to get that to spiral lower. So we want to see a nice impulsive move in about 40 seconds time. If we don't see that, potentially we'll see some drift down to the previous day's high, which is an extreme gap. And there looks to be, well, there's only 40 points, but I guess you'd keep your stop losses quite tight here as well. On the flip side, so later in the day, because it's going to take some time to have a rejection or a retracement lower, for those of you who sit around, I guess, looking at the charts and you're waiting for an entry to get in with some long bias, I'd be watching particularly the pivot or like the breakout short. Potentially the close might play a part, but I'm just not 100% sure it will stop there. So we're open now. We'll see what happens. We'll just zoom in on the order flow. The order flow hasn't been that great, and that's because there's something happening with the daylight savings hours across the world. So it's something to do with the US versus Germany versus London. And it kind of just, for a few weeks of the year, it throws the volume, it throws the order flow, and it causes a bit of havoc. So just take note of that. It is a bit annoying. But as of next week, we should be back on, and we should have the proper volume coming into that market. Now that looks quite thin, but there's no indication that we've sold, so potentially that 41 contracts is just an aggressive sell. We've had some contracts push it up, and then that's going to be it. So, potentially we'll be heading down towards at least the R1. If we can get through the R1, then we might be heading towards that previous day's high. We'll see if we can get a bigger push up to, say, the R2. But what I'm looking for is probably something a bit more meaningful in the trading session. So right now it's very little movement, very little indication as to a particular direction. I'm not getting enough evidence to say, let's go long or let's go short. So I'm basically just watching, once again, this market at the moment during this thereabouts week period of every year. We get a bit of a strange patch like this where the DAX doesn't power up or power down at the open. We don't get that big volatility spike that we like to see, indicating impulsive moves into certain levels, and then the big boys come in and move the market from the points that they're looking for. So we're not getting really good order flow kind of layouts to indicate something's actually going to happen. Right, and was that just a buy? Like, was there any reason for your expectations in pre-market. Look, I'm really hoping that we can have a bit of a decline down to that previous day's high. It has kind of respected that level. Yeah. It sort of had that feel about it today, and we'll see if we can break through this level. It's very thin volume. There's nothing kind of picking it up, and we just need to get through this R1, and then I think, hopefully we'll get down to the previous day's high, because it is the extreme gap, but we might kind of reject off the R1. So look, guys, I hope these sessions are somewhat helpful for you. I know I'm a bit it could go up, could go down, but I'm trying to indicate exactly what I'm looking for, and often when I see what I'm looking for, I've got to be really quick. So for example, there's 16 contracts here, but it hasn't respected anything. So we are now dropping, as I guess mentioned earlier. So that's great. And we'll see if we can get all the way down to the previous day's high. Now today I haven't actually placed a trade, simply because I'm just not, I'm not that convinced of the volatility. I'll need, I guess, a half decent stop just to get to this target. It's not overly valuable in terms of risk reward. We've got 15 and 12, so we're rejecting now. So that's why I'm not getting in. That's not why I'm getting in. It's more just I'm not seeing the evidence that I need to see to be able to make a powerful decision. Now we've just hit 25 and 16, so something's happening around the R1. And because we've come down, we've now come back up and we've hit the 25. I think that was a sell limit from this level. So we've broken down. People are saying, right, we've gotten through it. I want to now short it so that we do hit this previous day's high. So anyway, that's my analysis for the day. I'm not going to sit here and watch and waste your time when it's not overly valuable information I feel that I'm giving you today, just because the basis of the layout, it's okay, but it's not something that I'm saying, okay, I'm placing an order, because it's just not evident enough. The risk reward isn't quite there. So I'm going to call it there, but what I'll be looking for during the session, look, I do think we'll hit this previous day's high. Looks like, I'm not too sure what to make of that. It looks like people are buying. So we've got some buy limits, we've got some aggressive buying, but ultimately my main target is the previous day's high. So that's why you've got to watch the order flow. Does it match what you're thinking at the moment? If we can push through this low here, the 15 and the 12, and this was a new candle as well. So often we get a bit of a recoil, throws new candle buyers, thinking that, okay, the market's turning around, and then it soaks it all up and then continues on its way that it was going. So we'll just see if that happens or not. But yeah, targeting the high, targeting potentially the close as well, watching the order flow for any indicators otherwise. And then I might be looking to buy if we get down to, say, the pivot or the breakout short. Again, using the order flow to kind of paint a better picture. Anyway, guys, best of luck with your trading. I hope it all works out for you today. I think, is it Friday today? It is a Friday. So yeah, best of luck. Have a great weekend, and we'll come back again next week when all the times are all on the same layout, and hopefully we get a bit more volatility and a bit more respect of the levels so that we can make better decisions and better trades. Anyway, best of luck, guys. We'll see.